Okay, let's give this a few seconds to load on the other page. Awesome. Got my buddy here. BFF. You're going to love this. Okay, Chuck, you're going to love tonight. Let me open up my screen. This is batshit crazy. Our own government sold us out to the aliens, like literally. So let's get this on. Let's show you the Greta Treaty. Eisenhower has the power. February 20 to 21, 1954. Location, Holloman Air Force Base, Otero County, New Mexico. We're about to cover some really deep stuff here. This is even before the Majestic 12 began. So this is on the 1954 Greta Treaty. I was never able to actually find the treaty. This is the best document I was able to find concerning this treaty. I never could find the text. The closest thing that happened that was later, I think it was actually earlier in the month, was a Russian treaty that was supposed to be a ceasefire. So this is I can't actually prove this, but my channeling logs does prove something did occur between the end of World War II and 1950s, and then sometime in the 1950s, where there was a treaty made. So I do believe this did actually happen. It says on the 1954 Greta Treaty, the Eisenhower administration bypasses the U.S. Constitution and form a pact with alien races in exchange for advanced technology, aka the microchip, things like that, and fiber optics, lasers, things like that. The aliens would be allowed to make experiments on livestock, minerals, and a small group of humans, aka the abductees from the 1950s and 60s that were taken to Venus and Mars and Jupiter, different other planets. It was a heyday of alien contact back then. So we'll get into this. Okay. It says around 1953, some astronomers spotted a body of matter from outer space in a collision course to Earth. Further analysis determined that those objects cannot be asteroids or another natural stellar body. A group of scientists hopes to contact and communication with the possible alien visitors. Well, in 1947, the Roswell incident, I can't find the exact passage anymore because I've got like 4,500 pages of channeling logs now. But the robot shot down the Roswell alien spacecraft. Eventually, I'm going to go through all the channeling logs on my Rumble account. So I'll pull that up. I'll pull that up later. A team succeeded establishing a conversation by radio communication and using the computer binary language. It did not appear as a rescue mission from the 1947 Roswell UFO incident, which I'll probably not going to cover in here because this is probably going to lack some of the details that I have in my personal logs because of the number and size of the spaceships. Initially, President Eisenhower rejected to face-to-face meeting with the aliens. Apparently, the aliens arranged some exhibitions at Holloman Air Force Base and on board a United States Navy ship. Of their power to the president, the aliens related through messages that they came in peace. Yeah, they always come in peace until they want pieces of you. It says U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower landed at Holloman Air Force Base in a Lockheed Constellation. About 20 people on board, including Secret Service men with a small crew. The Air Force One taxied and stopped about half mile away from the base tower. I guess that's the air control tower, I guess it's referring to. The civilians and military on the base had been told that while the president was there, this would be business as usual day. Right after the plane landed, the radar officers gave instructions to shut off all radar equipment. Minutes later, the ground patrol reported 2 UFOs approaching. The tower received another report, a third UFO spotted behind the first two. A soldier on the ground described the UFO as having a round shape with no tail, wings, and no audible engine. That would be the anti-gravity that Bob Lazar talks about. That doesn't make any noise. I think it's element 115 it's powered by. I'll go into that another day. This is about being sold out tonight. It says the craft approached the president's plane sitting alone on the runway. The first two crafts stopped about 300 feet over Eisenhower's plane, and one descended on the far side of the airplane and to touch the ground around 200 feet from it. So the third hovered over the buildings with a good vantage point of anything that might come towards the plane and the other ship. Eisenhower descended the staircase and walked in the direction of the round-shaped disc on the ground. He paused for a moment right at the ramp. It appeared that he was shaking hands without another. Oh, it says he was shaking hands with another individual, but the distance would not allow verification of this. Eisenhower then entered the ship. Did they play 5D chess in there? I don't know. But something happened in there for about 45 minutes. You can imagine how confused and tense the officials, Secret Service, and base personnel felt. Yeah, I can't imagine the Secret Service letting today's presidents out of sight even for a second. So they were lucky to have this deal when they did. Aliens would never, no one would be trusted this much. Dwight Eisenhower emerged from the spacecraft with his recognizable erect military walk towards Air Force One. According to witness and researchers, they discussed the Greta Treaty and signed by the U.S. president and apparently at first with alien race known as Greys. Well, the Greys, as I know them, they're an ally of the reptilians, who are cannibals, flesh eaters, a lot of very evil things, and they kind of run our country right now because the stuff they do is very reptilian. Hollywood is very reptilian run right now. So I'm pretty sure the deal, we're going to learn this later, the deal did collapse, but it says later, other races entered the Greta Treaty. Well, we got the tall whites, those are the Nordics. Those are the Nordics, the Pleiadians. I believe the Arcturians and the Lyrans. Reptilians, who I already discussed, they're the ones that control the Greys. The Greys are just they're like, I don't know, like a bio android. And the Anunnaki, the ones who supposedly created humanity thousands of years ago to mine gold for them to reinforce their atmosphere of Nibiru. I can go into all that some other time. Right now, it's not my interest. The Greta Treaty states the aliens would not interfere with our affairs and we would not interfere with theirs. Didn't happen. That ain't happening now. They're messing. They freaking own us now. The U.S. government would keep their presence on Earth secret. They tried, but you can't keep stuff secret forever. The aliens would furnish the U.S. with advanced technology. Yeah, they did. They helped us develop microcircuits, the microchips we use in our computers. They helped us develop stealth technology, fiber optics, lasers, quantum computing. And I'm pretty sure we haven't heard the last of it. I'm pretty sure we're going to find out more from Donald Trump's Space Force, and that's going to come up later. The aliens could abduct humans and livestock on a limited basis for medical experimentation and monitoring. Yeah, the Greys cannot breed on their own. They're all cloned. So they require humans because we are capable of self-breeding, and we have an emotional complex that they lack, and they want the genetic engine. They want the genetic background of our emotional system, like our emotional range, because they're just robots and they don't have love, they don't have joy, they don't have any of the things, the range that we do. So they want to reproduce that in their own offspring. So that's what they made the deal for, to abduct us. And that's what the hybrids are about. I can go into that later tonight. The people subjugated to experiences would not be harmed. Bullshit. They were very harmed and returned to the point of abduction with no recollection of the event. Bullshit. There's a huge community of abductees. The memories are still there, and they always end up resurfacing as dreams and stuff. The U.S. could also do medical experimentation on and genetic experiments with the aliens. They should share the results. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they shared it between their groups. That's what the base at Dulce, New Mexico that I talked about when I talked about the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases. I mentioned this in there. The aliens would be granted secret facilities for their accommodation experiences. Area 51, I guess it was a few places. They were given bases. Okay. I always call them Majestic 12. I'm going to still call them Majestic 12, but this is it. Right here it says the majority 12. So I'm going to stick with Majestic because that's what I've always heard. And when you Google it, that's what comes up. Eisenhower established a permanent committee to oversee conduct all covert activities with the aliens by the Greada Treaty. This committee created on secrecy by executive memorandum. I'll look this up again. This is what pulled up the Russian stuff. This is what pulled up the deal with the not having a war with the Russians. So I looked this up. It's NSC 5410, also known as Majority 12, for example, as MJ12. So I'm gonna check the comments, see what we got. Yeah, it does. It does prove we're not alone in the universe. It completely proves it. And since I'm a channeler of extraterrestrials, they told me this stuff long before I even heard of this stuff. We actually do have. Hey Chuck, we do have bases. We have bases on Mars. We have bases all over the universe. So not all over the universe, but we have bases all over the solar system. Actually, I can dig that up later. But right now, it would actually drag us out of context is what I'm talking about right now. But I'm gonna look up this treaty. This is what I found out. Is the actual. I don't know why they brought this up because it just pulls up about the Russians, and I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, more. Memorandum of discussion at the 187th meeting of the National Security Council, Thursday, March 4th, 1954. So just after the Greada Treaty was created. It says the following were present at the meeting I just mentioned. The President of the United States presiding and the Vice President of the United States are acting. Let's get past the people. Okay, here it is. It's right here. It mentions the Soviet Union. The U.S. objectives in the event of general war with the Soviet Union, the Soviet bloc. So it's that is it. NSC 5410. It says Mr. Culler briefed the members of the council that this has nothing to do with aliens. It doesn't make sense why they bring it up. This is the only reason why I doubt this even 1% is because this has nothing to do with aliens. I read this already. It says Mr. Culler briefed the members of the council and explained that the planning board believed that the policy on United States objectives in the event of war was desirable to provide a basis of planning by the appropriate departments and agencies. He pointed out that the president's statements had been unanimously approved by the planning board, but as yet, the views of the Joint Chiefs and staff had not been received. So this basically, the president pointed out that we could anticipate in the aftermath of a third world war. We're now in the third world war right now. So this actually kind of pertains to today and not 1954 because we're now entering World War III right now with Russia and Ukraine and all that. They're actually making World War III happen. So a war, tremendous swing toward isolation. This is going to cause us to be an isolationist country like North Korea. It says, moreover, the colossal job of occupying the territories of the defended enemy would be far beyond the measure of the United States at the end of such a war. While the president therefore said he agreed that it was right to keep this problem this problem of war objectives in mind, but he believed that the chaos resulting from a Third World War would be so great that it rendered it impossible for the National Security Council to determine in advance our precise objectives and course of action in the event of such a war. We can't have a World War III. America will lose. We will absolutely be annihilated if this happens. As regards to the kind of government we would attempt to set up in a defeated Russia, it says the president said it would be hard. It was hard to debate. A totalitarian system was the only imaginable instrument by which Russia could be ruled for a considerable interval after the war. Can you imagine? Right now, Russia is a free market state. Right now, they have free market. It's not global like we are, but Russia currently exists under a free market system. They trade with China right now. Their biggest trade partner is China. So they do have free market. And we're playing, if we destroy Russia, we're going to put a totalitarian state like, I don't know, like North Korea or China. China isn't even totalitarian. They're messed up, but they're not a totalitarian state. They're still also free market. Like, it's free market communism because the government owns all the businesses. They run the businesses, but people are allowed to like apply business licenses and run a business within that system. But under a totalitarian government, that ain't going to happen. We're all going to be fucked. Chuck, doesn't have to be a nuclear war. Any war that causes Russia to be defeated, we have to install this totalitarian system in to control them. Because can you imagine trying to control an area that's like 3 times the size of the United States? And we can't even control our own country right now because of like rampant immigration. We don't even control our own territory within the continental 48. There's no immigration crisis in Alaska or Hawaii. You can drop those off the list. It's only the continental 48 right now that are like collapsing. So this talks about war with Russia. It has nothing to do with aliens, which really doesn't make sense why it was even mentioned. Because you can see it right here. It's like this line mentions it. It's right there. I just looked it up. It says, in later years, this operation evolved into and became known as MAGI, the Majority Agency for Joint Intelligence. I actually never heard of that, but I guess I could look that up towards the end of the program. MAGI is responsible directly and only to the President of the United States. The Greta Treaty's whistleblowers. It says these unusual events came to public through witnesses and researchers. Some of them supposedly paid the ultimate price, their lives. Yeah. Don't you get it, government? The more people you martyr, the more you prove that they were right. Just ignore them and it will blow over. Because usually when you ignore it, it means you don't give a shit. And it gives the illusion that, oh, they're just lying. They're just crazy. But when you go and actually attack them and try to kill them or do kill them, you make them into a martyr. It's the same thing happened with J6. All the people, when we do to Trump, it's the exact same thing. The more you prosecute Trump, the more you prove he's right. So even back then, this is 1954, probably to the 70s. Because some of this stuff goes into the 70s. It says Gerald Light, the psychic, sent a letter to the head of the Southern California Metaphysical Organization on April 16, 1954, claiming to see the president and alien spaceships. Copies of this encounter. Let me see what we get. I'm going to go up to this encounter. Okay, is this actually? No, it's not actually directly referenced. And let's see if it's referenced here. No, they don't even have. I don't think they have it directly mentioned. So I will have to forego that right now. I can't find it. It'll take too long. There's at least an hour and a half worth of material to cover. It says Light's alleged a psychic without. Oh, okay. Okay, the guy's name is Light. Okay, Light's alleged a psychic without a body abilities. And that was the way he had his experience on Edwards Air Force Base. Phil Schneider, Alan Keller, Oh, alien killer. It's like, damn, I don't want to read this as it is, but it literally says alien killer. So it says in the early 1990s, Phil Schneider presented in lectures, giving talks on forms of alien lives. Like, yikes, there's more than one. Yeah, of course, there's like 1,000. My alien context has said there's 1,400 civilizations in this galaxy and about 5,000 in the Andromeda. I'll find out the exact number. They told me about colonized worlds on the other galaxy, so that'd be another month or year, maybe. Who knows? Phil Schneider was allegedly one of 3 people who survived at the infamous 1979 Dulce firefight. That I have to cover. It says the conflict. I'm just going to read what's in here because it's freaking crazy. The conflict involved large grays. They are the leader of all the grays. The taller the gray alien, the higher their rank is. It's kind of like the cartoon Invader Zim. The tallest is like the leader. The taller they are, the leader they are. It's the same thing with the grays. That's where the concept came from. Because the short grays, they're just like button pushers and pencil pushers or whatever they call them, paper pusher. They're the lowest rank, and then the tall grays are the leaders, and then above the tallest grays are the reptilians, the ones that that David Icke talks about. They're like the Queen of England, the Rockefellers, and the Rothschilds. So it says U.S. intelligence and military at the Dulce underground base. Phil Schneider was found dead in his apartment on January 1996 with a piano wire wrapped around his neck. He suffered torture, and all his presentation papers and research were missing from his apartment. Okay, we're just going to give a bunch of examples. Well, Phil Schneider was in a firefight when they were drilling the lower levels of the Dulce, New Mexico deep underground military base. They popped a hole through into an extraterrestrial base, and it surprised the Greys and the Americans. And there was an armed conflict between both forces. And Phil Schneider had part of his hand shot off and burn marks on his chest from the alien gun, from their laser weapons. And when he used to attend UFO meetings, he would show off the scars in his missing fingers and shit. So it's 100% legit. And let's see if they even cover Trump's. I'm just going to look for Trump's Space Force because there's supposed to be something about that, isn't it? Yeah, because I think it was it the one I was born under. Yeah, as I mentioned, is built Jimmy Carter. It was Reagan. Reagan's the guy that said this. This is President Reagan, the 40th president of the United States from 81 to 89. That's the president I was born under. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. I can find. This is recorded voice. I'll go find it. This is a recorded voice. So let's go find it. Let's go find him actually saying it. The United Nations invade Earth. Okay, Ronald Reagan. Ooh, I can't even see it. It's covered up. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Here it is. Let's hear it out of his own mouth. Out of his own mouth. Ronald Reagan talking about aliens. Oh, let me actually put the sound back on so we can hear him say it out of his own mouth.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity.
Team
Perhaps we
humanity.
need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
There it is, people. Yeah, freaking, it's insane. He basically admits it, that there really is something going on up. There's something going on. This is really out there. The Greeted Treaty pretty much confirms. Even George Bush, looks like even George Bush mentions. It's not too deep. Let me go find some other stuff on here. We got I don't need the treaty. I need this one. Let's go to Majestic 12. I can cover. Because we've had secret space programs for quite a while now. I haven't even read this yet, so I'm not entirely sure how relevant it's going to be. Well, I guess, but since it mentions QAnon, I'm not really all that trusting of this, because QAnon is basically a psyop to try to make people like trust the plan and not actually do something. This article has taken me a while because I wanted to make sure I did the subject justice. What follows is pretty. Oh yeah, let me just go. I'm gonna screw that article. I'll get Majestic 12 out of here. Stories with images. I don't need images. I need yeah, trust me, this website is actually pretty good. I think we can go to UFOs. Yeah, this one's really long. It's got to be in here. Yeah, we'll find Majestic 12 on this site. At least I would hope. I'm not even finding Majority 12. There's got to be a search feature in here. Okay, do they have 12? No, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I should have found it in there. It's like UFO stories. This is like the biggest. Oh, it doesn't even work. Okay, is there a search? There's got to be a search. Men in Black. Maybe it'll be in here. There's Men in Beige and Men in Gray. This is insane. Why can't I find it? Yeah, you would think this website would have a search feature. It's insane they don't. Whoa, this is so weird. They don't actually have it. How do they not? Yeah, I don't get it. How do they not? This is really weird. Yeah, abductions, this should be pretty long. Whoa, this is actually insane. Yeah, you're probably right, buddy. It probably is like secret and hidden. Because it's really weird how I can't find it. Maybe it's in timeline. Okay, it was in the 1954. So somewhere in here. Whoa, that's weird. They said specifically 1954. Okay, let me go back to Greeted Treaty if I can find it again. Okay, fuck this. I will do it this way. Agree to treaty. Let's go back to. It's like, hey, Chuck, I don't care if it's classified. They can go F themselves. I'm going to find it one way or another. I don't care. I'm that kind of fucked up where they can try. They can try all they want. I am the Sockness. Good luck trying to keep it from me. Oh, this is September 24th, 1947. It's a little older. It says Majestic 12, also known as Majestic 12C12, Majestic Trust. Doesn't give me a link to that, but this gives me a lot to look up. I have actually read documents about this before, like actual leaked documents. Like they were scanned in paper documents. Well, this stuff is so old. It has to be under FOIA by now. I don't know what FOIA's limit is. If it was 30 or 50 years, but I can actually try to get a FOIA request because I know the names of these documents. Okay, it says the purpose of the committee was to investigate the UFO activity in the aftermath of the crash of an alien spaceship near Roswell, New Mexico incident in July 1947. So this is like a month later, 2 months. This not alleged. Yeah, we should actually remove the word alleged from our freaking dictionary. Okay, this committee, I'm not going to read the word alleged because bullshit doesn't exist. This committee is an important part of the UFO conspiracy truth of an ongoing government cover-up of the UFO information. So I'm going to change a few words to make this thing factual. Because this stuff did happen. My own alien contacts confirmed it. It says the primary evidence for the existence of a group named Majestic 12 is a collection of documents that first emerged in 1984, which I've actually seen. I wish I downloaded them. And which have been the subject of much debate. The original MJ-12 documents state that Majestic 12 group was established by secret executive order by President Truman on September 24th, 1947, upon recommendation by Dr. Vannevar Bush. I wonder if he's related to a certain Bush. And Secretary of Defense James Forrestal. He turns up a lot when it comes to UFOs. It says the existence of NJ-12 has sometimes been denied by some agencies of the United States government, which insist that documents suggesting its existence are a hoax is bullshit. My own aliens have proven they exist. I got stuff from. It's gonna be a long time digging up, but there's another memorandum that appears in my document in my channeling logs that proves alien contact. I don't have the entire document. I just got screen caps of what I needed for the time, but I can find out the memorandum that also came from. The FBI investigated the documents and concluded they were forgeries based primarily on the opinion rendered by it's like a FOSI. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Air Force something, I'm guessing. The U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Special Investigations. Okay, now I know what it is. Okay, opinions among UFO researchers are divided. Some argue the documents may be genuine, while others contend they are phony, primarily due to errors in formatting and chronology. In 1985, another document mentioning MJ-12 and dating to 1954 was found in search at the National Archives. Its authenticity is also highly controversial. The documents in question are rather widely available on the internet. Yeah, see, they're widely available. For example, on the FBI's own freaking website, where they are dismissed as bogus. Then why are they on the website then if they're not real? It's like I can try to FOIA request this myself and see what I get. Since the first MJ-12 documents, thousands of pages of other supposed leaked government documents mention MJ-12 and government cover-up of UFO reality have also appeared, sometimes collectively referred to as the Majestic documents. I should try to get my hands on the whole thing. Someone should have compiled it by now. I knew about this stuff for like 15 years. All of them are controversial, with many disputing their authenticity. A few have been proven to be unquestionably fraudulent. usually retyped rewrites of unrelated government documents. The primary new MJ12 documents is a lengthy linotype set manual allegedly dating from 1954 called the MJ12 Special Operations Manual. I guess it's SOM. That's what I guess is what I should exactly look up. Let me save this and I'll actually look that up later. Okay, it deals primarily with the landing of crash debris and alien bodies, so it probably won't be very interesting. But I don't know. I'll look into it. If it's interesting, I'll bring it up on my next. I'll bring it up on a special episode. Objectives to this authenticity usually center on questions of style and some historical anachronisms. The MJ12 documents are alleged to date from 1942 to 1997 and have hotly debated in the UFO community. The documents include such letters as to conduct to be used with meeting of alien diagrams and records of tests on UFOs, memos on assorted cover-ups, and descriptions of presidential statements about UFO-related issues. Well, there is a way to confirm this stuff is real because I can get documents from the same time period between 1942 and 1997 relatively easily about like regular treaties and whatever. And I can just compare the MJ12 documents. I can compare the fonts myself and see if they match. It's like, are the dates written right and all that, and look at the typefaces. This is something I can actually confirm myself once I get my hands on the documents. Oh yeah, I do. Chuck, I do remember Betty and Barney Hill. I think I can find them in here. I can read. If you want me to, I can read that. This is just about documents if they're like real or not. It doesn't really tell you. This doesn't really tell me a whole lot. So you want me to read Betty and Barney Hill? I can go find it. But I think I should anyways. Let's go back to home. This should be alien. Yeah, it'd be alien abductions. So let's go find Betty and Barney Hill. Because they met the Zeta Reticulans. They went to the Zeta Reticuli system. And they actually drew a map that actually proved it was what it was. Their map was later proved as factual. Let's see if it's... No, they don't show the image in here unless it's in one of these highlights. But, okay, let me see what I have. Yeah, I'll just read it. I'll read it anyways. It's going to be interesting. It says the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill. Well, this is in 1961. This is after the Greta Treaty took place, and probably before like 1979 when everything really hit, when the shit hit the fan. The abductions were pretty benign in that period. They weren't really screwed up like they are now. Like they're showing like hybrid babies and all that. This is similar. I think they took like samples out of them and stuff. Okay, the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill by UFO in 1961 was the first abduction case to be thoroughly investigated. It says, and the first or employed hypnotic regression was used in the investigation of alien abductions. The Hills were returning to New Hampshire from a holiday in Niagara Falls on that night. Traffic was sparse as Barney drove through the White Mountains on Route 3. Since close to midnight, the couple noticed a strange light in the sky that started to move. He stopped the car, and as Betty exercised their dog Delcy, Barney observed the object through binoculars. It says Barney told Betty that it was probably an airplane. Yeah, they always say, oh, it's just an airplane. Yeah, it's usually swamp gas. I guess airplane, whatever. As they continued their journey, the object seemed to remain with the car. They knew that it was definitely moving, so they ruled out a star or planet. The object changed direction and drew closer. Betty looked at the object through the binoculars, and she saw that it was a dish-shaped object with a band of light around the circumference. It says they stopped the car once again, and Barney got out to get a better look at the object. Talk about brave shit. It says the object got close to Barney that he was able to see several beings staring down at him through lighted windows. They're staring down at him. Says then he lost control and panicked, cried out, "They're going to capture us." He raced back to the car and they sped off. The next thing the couple were aware of were several bleeps like a sound of a microwave oven. Beep, beep, beep. The following day, Barney noticed some unexplained blotches on the body of the car, soreness in the back of his neck, and scuff marks on his shoes. It says sometime later, the Hills realized they had not account for 2 hours and 35 miles of their journey. Yeah, I blacked out, but goddamn. Yeah, this is like beyond being drunk blackout. This is like fucking, you got stolen. You don't have memories of a blackout. They began to suffer stress, but they had no idea why. Betty experienced horrible nightmares in which she was taken into a room and examined by strange beings. Within a year, the Hills saw 2 doctors, finally being passed on to Dr. Benjamin Simon, a Boston psychiatrist who specialized in hypnotic therapy. Dr. Simon regressed the Hills using hypnosis, but he did this to them separately so that neither of them would know what the other said. A terrifying story emerged that filled in the period of amnesia. Yeah, what would happen if one of us had what if we have one of us has amnesia? Happens to me all the time since I drink. So it makes one of those times I did get stolen. It says over several months, an account was pieced together which told how their car was stalked by a group of strange-looking men with pear-shaped heads and large wraparound eyes. Yeah, the Greys, the ones Eisenhower made the freaking contract with. It's like, stupid Eisenhower. If he wasn't dead, we should sue you for this. It says, yeah, for all the emotional damages he did to these people and all the other people. The beings forcibly carried the Hills into the object, where they were taken into separate rooms. During their separation, the couple underwent various tests by the aliens, which included taking hair and skin samples. Exactly what they said, harmless sample. They're allowed to take harmless samples and non-lethal experiments. Well, they're long beyond that now. As well inside the craft, Betty remembers seeing a star map. Later, under post-hypnotic suggestion, she was able to reproduce the map. In 1974, Ohio school teacher and amateur astronomer Marjorie Fish published the results of her studies of the map. I'll pull up the star map in a few. After 5 years of studying the map, Mrs. Fish found a match, the Zeta Reticuli system. I don't think that's very far from her. It's only like 20 light years. I think it's like 20 light years, which is actually pretty fucking close. But when noted, astrophysicist Carl Sagan compared the Fish map using more accurate computer systems. He found there was little similarity. Well, let's go find out. Let's actually find out then. Let me go to a real search engine. Okay. Let's see what we can find out. Yeah, let's see what we can find out. This is going to be kind of interesting. Because I'm not going to use Google to study this. I'm going to use another site. But it looks like it's just pulling up common websites. Like, it's still only pulling up YouTube and Reddit. So I don't really trust those. But I don't think I have much choice in this matter. It's 18 minutes. I don't plan on playing the entire video. Let's see. CCDN did not come on. He is aware of my broadcast. Okay, let's play a few minutes of this. Let's see what it goes into.
The star map.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
That was a piece of scientific evidence that my dear friend, colleague, and co-author Stanton Friedman investigated.
Okay.
And
Okay, yeah, they're gonna bring it
went
back up.
into the room that Barney was in to examine him. Betty was left alone with the one that they called the leader. We now know that it's not really the leader, it's a communicator, it's an escort, it's the non-human entity that stays with the abductee and makes them feel comfortable and calm. But Betty had lost her fear of him because he took her pain away. And she said to him, "Well, I know you're not from around here. Where's your home port?" And he produced a three-dimensional model of a star map. And 2 stars in the foreground were as large as nickels. They were connected by 5 solid lines. And then there were some...
Okay, here's the star map. So Earth, the Earth is here. Earth is on the top, on the right side of the map. They don't have Proxima Centauri on here, our closest star. So I'm guessing since Proxima Centauri is not on here, that the planet that was found around the smaller star has no life on it, and probably no colony. So I'm guessing all the planets mentioned on here probably have like colonies, at least the ones with dots connecting to them or lines. Those probably have things on them like bases or civilizations. But they have Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 Reticuli, these large orbs, and like 5 lines between the 2 systems. So I'm going to look up both stars and see what type of star they are. I don't care about the other ones. There's Gliese 86, Tau 1 Eridani. There's Gliese 59, 82 Eridani. They got Tau Ceti, but these are like dotted lines. So maybe that's like smaller bases or something, I guess. They got Alpha Mensae, which is right next door to Alpha Centauri, or the next to Zeta Reticuli. So that's the star map.
the size of dots. And
So I don't know why some of these are just dots and have
some were
nothing.
connected by solid lines, some by dotted lines. He made her understand that the ones connected by solid lines were trade routes, whereas the dotted lines represent.
She says trade routes. You know, Eisenhower made that the Greta Treaty in 1954, and Earth, the sun is on here. It has the sun. And it has a solid line. That's a trade route. That's a trade route. So that means these are their trade routes. So that means Earth is actually trading with the aliens at this point. When this happened in the 69 or whatever.
Presented expeditions. And so know where you are on this map.
And what's the likelihood that Betty and Barney Hill are even aware of the Greta Treaty that I mentioned earlier in this broadcast? What's the likelihood they would even know about that? It wasn't even released until the 80s. It wasn't like leaked until the 80s. It seemed like that's when it first came to light, like to anyone. I think the first inklings were in the 70s, so.
And she said, "No, I know where I am. I know nothing about the universe." And he said to her, "If you don't know where you are, how can I tell you where I am?" Which is, to me, kind of deceptive, because he certainly could have stated where he was from. But I suppose it had a different name than what our astronomers have named it.
And this is when I saw the star map.
Oh, there she
It was
is.
almost like I was looking out the window. It had dimension to it. It was about 3 or 4 feet long and about 2 feet high. There were all these balls of light in it. And the leader explained to me that the heavy lines, the places they go all the time or frequently, the broken lines were expeditions. He asked me if I...
Oh, so these dotted ones, those are like, I guess they may have civilizations. There's something of interest in those star systems. So I guess if we have the time, I should look up the stars. I'll go back and I should look up the stars and see if they're yellow dwarfs like our sun. I think our sun is actually classified as a white dwarf, not a white dwarf, but a white. It's there's I think only 10% of the stars in our galaxy are the same mass as our sun, or I think there's only 10% that are like within the range of the size of our sun. So if the Zeta Reticuli, both Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 match like the sun's mass or are very similar, that pretty much confirms the whole theory. There's aliens living there, because it takes billions of years for life to emerge, unless they migrated there and they terraformed the planets in that system, which is a possibility, because the Rocock can do it, and I think the other alien races, and I think even Carl Sagan, there's a guy on here named, I think his name's Isaac Arthur. He talks about they may only take like 100,000 years to terraform Mars. So I guess if a star can live maybe 1 billion years, it's just fine, because it only takes like 100,000 to terraform a planet. So who knows?
I knew.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up on the next break.
I told him no, that I knew nothing about astronomy. And so he said, if I did not know where I was on the map, then there was no point of trying to explain it to me. I just didn't have the necessary knowledge.
That map was in the first book that was ever written about the Hills case, but it is also captured the Betty and Barney Hill UFO experience that Stanton Friedman and I wrote. He wrote the 2 chapters on the star map, in fact. And Marjorie Fish, a brilliant school teacher from Ohio, saw it. And she was an amateur astronomer. She was also a member of Mensa, meaning that her IQ was at least 140. So she thought that she might be able to identify what part of our solar system this group of non-humans came from. At first, she thought she'd find many matches.
I'll open up the thing. I'll open up the chat later.
By 1971, she hadn't found one match, even though she had built 23 models out 55 light years in every direction from our sun. And you remember there weren't any computers then, at least not home computers. She had to go to the university and sit there and take the astronomical catalogs and copy the distance data. And not only that, the characteristics of all of those stars, the sizes of all of those stars. And then she had to go home and do the math to know exactly where to place them in our local galactic neighborhood out 55 light years. And it was an extraordinary undertaking. And I can't imagine how frustrated she must have been after doing all of that work and still not finding a match. But then a new catalog was released. And she went to the university and found that catalog in 1971. It had new distance data, and there were 3 new stars that had not been within 55 light years of our sun. She did some rearranging. She put in those new stars, and voila, she had a match for Betty's map. Well, then how was she going to get scientists to vet her work? She didn't know any scientists. So she went to Coral Lorenzen, who was the co-director of APRO. And this was a UFO group. And Stanton Friedman happened to be a member of that group. Okay. And so she called Stanton and asked him if when he was in Ohio, he would stop by and speak with Marjorie and look at her star map work.
Because of the peculiar spacing of the stars near the sun, it was impossible for Marjorie Fish to find a match of more than 4 or 5 of the 12 patterned stars in the star map. Then she began to focus on the stars that were most like the sun and most likely to have planets and life.
Finally, only the very best stars for life were left. And when that happened, I had a 9-point match. A very exciting thing for me.
The 15-point match achieved by Marjorie Fish of the Betty Hill star map is unique and goes far beyond the laws of chance.
Despite the fact that Marjorie Fish tried thousands of different combinations of stars to try to match Betty's pattern, she was able to find one and only one pattern that matched angle for angle, line length for line length, what Betty had drawn. The star pattern makes sense from nearest star to nearest star to nearest star. The sun is part of the pattern. Quite remarkably, every one of the stars in the pattern is the right kind for planets and life. And all of the right kind of stars for planets and life in this volume of space are part of the pattern. The chance of that happening by accident, all the right kind and only the right kind for pattern stars, is 1 in several thousand. Perhaps most remarkably, this work tells us where one set of visitors originates. The base stars Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 Reticuli are a very special pair of stars.
Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 Reticuli are the closest to each other pair of stars suitable for planets and life in our entire neighborhood.
Damn.
Instead of being isolated from their neighbors as we are, Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 are 100 times closer to each other than we are to our nearest neighbor. It would not be surprising if space travel developed earlier between such close neighbors. Zeta 1
Still
and 2
together.
Reticuli are over 1 billion years older than Earth, clearly giving any beings living there a long evolutionary head start on us.
Opportunity to be in Ohio.
Interesting. 1 billion years older than our sun. Okay, let's actually look up the two stars and see what is on them. Let's see what we do know. Okay, let's see what we can get. It's a wide binary system, so I guess it is. I guess they're telling the truth there. It says Zeta Reticuli, Latinized as Reticuli, is a wide binary system in the southern constellation of Reticulum. This is from the southern hemisphere. Let me bigger southern hemisphere so you guys can even read it. From the southern hemisphere, the pair can be seen with the naked eye as a double star in very dark skies. Based on parallax measurements, the system is located at a distance of 39.3 light years, 12 parsecs on Earth. Both stars are solar analogs. That, like I said, if they're not solar analogs, they're probably not going to have. They're not going to be like, because tidally locked planets are not likely to develop life. What I've heard from the aliens, from different aliens they've channeled, they said tidally locked. Forget it. You're not going to get a whole lot on them, or at least nothing too crazy. There's a characteristic similar to the sun. They belong to the Zeta Hercules moving group of stars that share a common origin. Let's see if we can find out just how big they are. Because Earth has only got 500 million years left to live before it burns. That gets burned out by the sun. So if they're slightly smaller, that would really put some evidence these things. And they are slightly smaller. They are like, I don't know, the mass is 0.958, radius is 0.92, luminosity is 0.761, so not even as bright as the sun. I don't know what the temperature compares to, but the age is, well, that's kind of weird. The age is not, this says 1.5 though. Okay, what the hell are they using as a year on this thing? A year is the time taken for astronomical objects to complete one orbit. For example, a year on Earth is taken. Earth revolve around sun. They're saying like 1.5 to 3 billion years, so they're younger. How are they saying they're older when this says they're younger? And their mass is slightly less than the sun, so these things are going to be around for a long ass time. And there was life on the Earth at 1.5 billion years into the planet's history. There was already life here. And by 3 billion years, you never know. Depends. I guess it depends on life on their And there it is. You were right. Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is mentioned in here. He's mentioned Betty Barney, Project Serpo. Project Serpo is very interesting. It is freaking crazy. I know someone. I actually met someone who went. I knew someone from Project Serpo. I actually know. So this is freaking crazy. I wonder if that site actually had a search feature, it would be easier to find. So I don't think Serpo would be considered on here. Let me go back. It won't let me. Okay, what the hell? Book of Abraham. Kolob is a star or planet described in the Book of Abraham, a sacred text of many traditions, the Latter-day Saints movement. Kolob is also mentioned Latter-day Saints hymn. Oh, this is really weird. The Latter-day Saints believe in aliens. Wish I'd known about that sooner. That would be interesting. Plans proposed by L. Ron Hubbard. There's Tigiak, if I'm pronouncing that right. There's Ummo. Let's see what other planets. Zachariah Sitchin mentions. I know he has Nibiru. Tiamat supposedly exists between Mars and Jupiter, but we already know the asteroid belt was prevented from ever becoming a planet because of a Jupiter. Serpo, this is the one. This is freaking crazy. Let me read this. Because we all know Wikipedia doesn't believe in reality. So just take this as it did. I actually met someone who actually partook in this project. So this is actually real. Project Serpo is a top secret exchange program between the United States government, which I've already proved to you actually made dealings with aliens. Government and an alien planet called Serpo, because other aliens did sign on to the treaty later on in the Zeta Reticuli star system, which Betty and Barney Hill. See, this is already proved itself. Independent sources collabed, and it matched. Details of the exchange program have appeared in several UFO conspiracy truth stories, including an incident in 1983 in which a man identifying himself as United States Air Force Sergeant Richard C. Doughty contacted investigative journalist Linda D. I met Richard Doughty. I've actually met him. It's pretty cool. Proclaiming to be able to supply her Air Force records. It says Linda Moulton, claiming to be able to supply her Air Force records of the exchange for her HBO documentary, The ET Factor, only to pull out without providing any evidence to substantiate his story. Yeah, government probably threatened her, so whatever. And one incident, 2005, a series of emails were sent to a UFO discussion group run by Victor Martinez, also met at a conference once, claiming the project was real. Oh, yeah, it is real, because I think my alien pals I even told them and asked, hey, is this real? And I think even they said it was. Some variations of the conspiracy truth state that the name Serpo is a nickname of an extrasolar planet. Other versions state that it is a mispronunciation of either Serponia or Sinu by authorities involved within the project. The first mention of Project Serpo was in a UFO email list mentioned by enthusiast Victor Martinez. Various versions of the conspiracy truth circulated were later detailed on a website, probably one I was part of at one point, because I know MUFON, I think, mentioned it, because he was interviewed by MUFON. I think I was there when it happened, actually. Because according to most common version of the story, an alien survived a crash near Roswell in the late 40s. See the Roswell incident. So these are grays, which was confirmed by Betty and Barney Hill, and also confirmed by the Greta Treaty that I also mentioned. So all these things, they all line up. It all matches. So this just cannot be made up. These people never talk to each other. Says this alien was detained but treated well by the American military. forces. Oh yeah, I can bring up the alien interview and show what the aliens actually look like. I'll do that once I get done reading this. Contacted its home planet and eventually repatriated. The story continues by claiming that this led to the establishment of some sort of relationship between the American government and the people of its home world. Yeah, Greta Treaty. They added themselves to the Greta Treaty, okay? Said the planet of the binary system of Zeta Reticuli, which Betty and Barney Hill confirmed. And I guess we confirmed later on with telescopes and binoculars or whatever. Zeta Reticuli has a history in ufology, including the Betty and Barney Hill abduction and Bob Lazar story. Yeah, you were right, Bob Lazar. That's where he studied the alien spaceships, the actual ships. I think they were traded technology because they were intact and not all smashed up or nothing. Having been claimed as a home system of the alien race called the Greys. Yep. The story finally claims that 12 American military personnel visited the planet between 1965 and 1978. Yeah, because on the Earth side of this, I don't know if this was in Dulce, but in the report on the Earth side of this, they were like, there was like a daycare center on Earth at an underground base where they had alien and human children like on a daycare center playing together and all that. And they reached a maturity, I guess like teenagers or whatever. They went back to the other planet. They went to Serpo or whatever. They went to the other planet to have other kinds of training done, other experimentation, like breeding programs and stuff like that when they were old enough. But I need to find the lady that had these reports. There's this lady I used to talk to that had all this stuff printed out. She had you could order prints from her. And I used to have prints of some of these stories. It was like, I had like this 15 pages. And it talked about the whole thing, this guy's full experience of his experience of being a child in the daycare program and going to the other planet. It says, and that all of the party have since died from after effects of high radiation levels from the two suns. Another version of the story claims that 8 team members returned on the 7th month trek home. I guess it takes them 7 months to make the traverse with these ships they have. And that's the technology the Americans have. It says team member 308, team pilot number 2 died of pulmonary embolism en route to Serpo on a 9-month journey. 11th arrived safely, and 1 died on the planet. So I guess they got higher radiation on these suns. I know red dwarfs are like hella radioactive. They got like solar flares and crazy stuff. So maybe these stars being smaller have slightly worse solar storms on them. And it says, and both their bodies were returned to Earth. Yeah, the aliens said they would. That's what the tree was about. I don't think it was corrupt yet. While 2 others decide to remain on the alien homeworld of Serpo. And there's an actual website on here. Let me go to that. It's on criticism of Project Serpo stems the lack of veracity of one of its witnesses, Sergeant Richard Doughty, which I've actually met. Doughty then involved with the other alleged UFO-related activities, see Majestic 12, and Paul Benowitz, and thus discredited source. I'm not sure if they should consider this discredited because the stuff is confirming itself with the other people. Look, let's just go to Serpo and see what it says. Oh, file not found. Go figure. Cover up. Yep, I do mean Majestic 12. That was quite a while ago. Yep. I'll open up the thing later. It's got to get this. There's got to be a way to get that Serpo.org release thing. There's got to be a way to find it. Additionally, there's no physical evidence supporting the project's existence. According to Tim Swartz of Mysteries magazine, Doughty, who promised evidence to Moulton Howe before backing out, he must have been threatened. Usually they get threatened and they back out of stuff because they don't want to die. Has been involved in circulating several other UFO conspiracy truths. I'll find out what those are in the future. Just Schwartz also expressed that the details of Project Serpo have varied considerably with different accounts. It has been damn, I have no choice but to say, it has been alleged that the entire series of posts were designed to be viral marketing for a new book by Dottie. Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out some point. It says Bill Ryan, the chief proponent of publicizing Project Serpo, claims announced on March 5th, 2007, back when I used to be involved with the MUFON things, the Mutual UFO Network people, that was stepping down from his role as webmaster of the Serpo material. I guess that's why it's gone. It says Ryan nonetheless maintains his belief that extraterrestrial exchange program did occur, although he states that Serpo releases definitely contained disinformation. So it's going to be hard to figure it out, like what's actually going on. So let's see if there's anything near that book. 27. Final. Just see if any of these work. No, they're not found. They're broken. We'll never know. So I will look up the war. I'm going to look up the conflict between the aliens, the Dulce base. Let's see if I can find the Dulce base on here, and then I can show you guys the conflict that happened with Phil Schneider, because that was pretty interesting. Can I count under UFOs? It's not a long list under it. Yeah, this list is pretty long. Let's do Battle Dulce. Battle of Los Angeles. Like 3 of those, but I want Dulce. Okay, now Dulce is going to be hard to find. That was small. Nothing's telling me the magnification factor. It's off topic, but it's not what I need. I need military bases. I don't need sightings. I need UFOs. It was just in this. So. None of it didn't even work. So what the hell? No, it's not in there. That's weird. Alien abductions? No doubt that should have been in there. That's insane. It's not. Thought I did encounters. Yeah, I don't get it. How could it not be in there? Under encounters, where they have like encounters with aliens and stuff. Okay. He doesn't have the link to this. Otherwise, he would be on here. If he wants to get on, I'll let him on later. But I don't want any guests on here right now. I don't want anyone interrupting. So otherwise, let's see CDN get on right now. It looks like I'm gonna have to give up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give up on the Dulce. I can't find it. I have no idea why it's gone. Let me try this link. I think I still got a link of it in here. Yeah, I got a link, but it's unrelated. Yeah, I have the Orion lines. I got a link from the Orion lines. Let's see if I can find that battle. So that was. I think I've already read the battle though. This guy got shot by lasers and all that, so I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I'm gonna open this thing up. I'm just gonna open up. I'm done with the program tonight. So time to open some presents, people. Time for some presents. I've been on for over an hour, so I think it's long enough for the meat. So I will take the screen down then. Yeah, I'm just gonna get swamped at this point. Okay, let's see who is still on. I'm gonna check YouTube. Yeah, there's probably nobody on right now. Oh, it looks like Chuck's on his stream. Let me go. Oh yeah, I can play his stream. I can load his stream and play. Let me do it. Let me go load him up. Because I can show his screen. He's actually live, though.
I know why people are jealous of me, because I'm one of a kind. You ain't gonna find another guy like me.
Exactly. You couldn't go onto the street and try and find another Chuck. They couldn't find you, cut your face off, and then try and pretend to be you. It just wouldn't work. Go into a fucking... They couldn't chop your face off, go into a Hobby Lobby, go to the cashier and freak her out and say, I'm Chuck Stegall, and this looks like Ed Gein. They can't do that. You know what I mean, baby mom?
Yeah, you could freak out some Christian ladies.
Yeah.
Never happened to me personally.
I want you to see it.
No, God forbid.
It's just a hypothetical. Question. Oh, Jacob Sockness says he's still live. Sockness, why don't you come up here, because we're here.
The Jacob
it is.
Sockness?
Yeah, who else?
It is.
Fucking hell.
If it, I mean.
Okay, well,
that is.
I'm gonna switch streams, people. I'm gonna go on to his.
Let's see. Chuck, do you jerk off in Quentin's socks? That seems.
No, I can't even have this on my
What?
stream.
No, who said that?
Good night, people.
The real Clint Saunders. Clint
Well,
is a real
Clint
I'll do
pervert.
a bullshit
I
stream
mean,
later.
Sicko. Papa Nips
You-
is a perv.
You mean Papa Nips, a person that